Alrighty, so I wanted to talk about Freyr a little bit because I still get comments even after, he's been out for about a week at this point. The patch goes live tonight as the time of me recording this. And I have to say, I was pretty excited about the character. I think that he's really cool. I like his design. I like the whole, sort of backstory behind him and everything. I think that he's a very interesting character. Usefulness, though, on the other hand, is I guess just dependent on you as a player. I do really like his kit for the most part. Of course, the only thing that's really wrong with it is this card right here. Everybody's already talked about it at this point, but this card is just not really all that great. I think that if it was really gonna be good, it would either need to cancel stance on level 1, or it would need to cancel buffs and stances at the same time. I think that the most use that you're going to get out of this character is obviously for the new demonic beast that is out. I think that is really the sole purpose on whether or not you should actually summon for the character. Normally I do like a pull or pass video whenever new characters sort of get announced or are coming out, and I've normally looked at the character quite a bit on JP before the release on global, and this character he looked very interesting, but he was a character that I wanted to get my hands on and sort of mess with first. Just because of how he plays. I think that in all honesty, if you're going for PvP, I don't think that he's it. And PvP, he takes a little bit of setup, and he just, I don't know, this card falls really short. The cleave card is obviously very good, and if you have high dupes on the character, of course, then the ultimate can be fantastic, but I don't know why you would use this character over other characters that are already in the meta, unless you just really like him, I guess. So for PvP purposes, I really don't like him too much. I just don't think he really has what it takes. He can pull some decent numbers with the cleave card, of course, and cleave is probably my favorite card modifier in the game at the moment, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a worthy investment. I do have, I've bought all of his outfits and everything. I have all of them except for the SSR one maxed out. I know that I'm kind of in the way here, but waiting for this one to go on sale for gems before I buy it, and then yeah, these aren't completely upgraded, but I mean, I have him pretty decently invested into. Sorry, wrong webcam. But he just doesn't seem all that great. He's a character that you want to run attack crit damage on, and his CC is just not really as high as you would want it to be, I think, unfortunately. Obviously he's not a festival character or anything like that. I think what he does have going for him is his crit chance and crit damage. Maybe crit chance isn't as great, but it's actually pretty decent, and his crit damage is through the roof, so if you can make him crit, it does a ton of damage. But he's mainly going to be used for, the new demonic beast because of his passive. The fact that it makes you immune to ignites is a really big one. Obviously, if you have Valentine's Day Melascula, she is a decent counter, or not counter, but replacement-ish. I don't think that she's going to do quite as good as this character, of course, because he applies buffs to himself, and then every 2 turns he'll apply a buff to all of your allies. It's not a huge buff. I don't think it's super substantial or anything. I don't think it's insane, but maybe as time goes on, maybe he'll get a holy relic at some point, or maybe he'll just play really well with whatever character ends up being specific to Skull and Hati, because obviously we have Magelda, who's only for Hrosvelgr. We have Jormungandr, who's only for Icthernir. So whatever character comes out that's just specifically for Skull and Hati, maybe they'll synergize very well with this character, but even then, at the moment, without that sort of support card, if you don't have high ult levels, it's going to be really hard to beat the higher floors. I attempted the first time for floor 2 today, and I think that I can probably beat it if I have a good run. I don't know if I'll be able to beat floor 3 with a 1-6. I think everybody who I've seen beat it at this point, the lowest I think I've seen anybody beat floor 3 with Freyr was a 3-6. And it's just because obviously he deals a little bit of extra damage, and that's really nice to have. Obviously, I don't think that that's a super I don't want to say it's like a must-have. I'm sure that if you get really good luck and if you play your cards right and you get decent RNG, I'm sure that you can probably beat it with a 1/6. I'm not positive on that. I haven't seen anybody do it, but I'm sure that the ult level isn't the only thing holding it back. I would hope not anyway. If it is, that's really unfortunate. But I don't know. I think he just falls a little bit flat. I think if you're a player who is towards the end game and you want to prep for maybe fighting these bosses, if you're not already fighting the bosses, I think he's a character that unfortunately might be a little bit necessary to have because of his passive giving the, you know, ignite immunity, plus, you know, his kit is actually pretty good for the fight. So I think he's the ideal character to have instead of Melascula. So if you want to grab a copy of him just for future proof, I think that would be probably the best decision. If you're not quite there, maybe you're a newer player, mid-tier player, somebody who's not really trying to fight these sort of holy relic demonic beast battle fights just yet, I think that you can probably get away with not summoning for him at the moment, because for the time being I think that they've done a really good job of putting like Jormungandr and Magelda and some of these other like Ragnarok characters that are actually useful for these game modes. They've done a pretty good job of like rotating them in and out of banners pretty consistently, I think. Obviously pulling characters that are unfeatured is, you know, terrible and, you know, not ideal and not what you want, but, you know, hopefully they'll come back enough. Hopefully he'll be on future banners, especially Ragnarok banners in general, to where, you know, hopefully you can pull a copy of him in the future if you feel like skipping. Because I think if you're not to this point yet, you know, Skull and Hunty is by far the hardest one at the moment, because we don't have any sort of like big support. And I think if you're not really, you know, if you're not at the like perfect setup right now to where you're like, hey, I don't have a whole lot of diamonds, should I overextend for this, whatever the case may be, I think that if you're, you know, newer, mid-tier, not going for holy relics at the moment, or maybe you're having trouble beating the bird or the deer at the moment, and you want to sort of iron out those fights first while they actually have good support for them at the moment, I think that you can probably get away with skipping the character at the moment. I do like the character. I think that he's a lot of fun. I do hate that he's one of these characters that, you know, you need, you know, dupes of the ultimate for him to like really show like big potential and everything like that. That's obviously very disappointing. I hated that whenever Escanor came out. I hate whenever they lock certain, you know, stuff behind having higher ult levels. It's really annoying. But overall, I just wanted to talk about the character a little bit. Let me know your, you know, sort of like experiences with the unit so far. How are you guys liking the unit? Because I feel like a lot of people, people who are interested in the Ragnarok thing, where like, oh, this character looks really cool, he like looks great, he, you know, he has a really interesting kit, you know, the death damage is obviously a big one that people want to have, because, you know, obviously you can run, you know, he's the new Escanor. I don't know, there's a lot of weird like ups and downs. I feel like some people were like, I don't care about this unit. Some people were like, hey, I gotta have him, he's the coolest thing ever. So I don't know, just let me know what you think. That's pretty much it though. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know your thoughts, of course, and I'll see you guys in the next one.